Hello and welcome. This is the Greenbrier Valley Church of the Nazarene with your daily devotion for Monday, January the 30th. Today we are reading from the Old Testament book of 1 Samuel 24, verses 1 through 10. Here's the word of the Lord. After Saul returned from pursuing the Philistines, he was told, "David is in the desert of En-Gedi." So Saul took 3,000 able young men from all Israel and set out to look for David and his men near the crags of the wild goats. He came to the sheep pens along the way. A cave was there, and Saul went in to relieve himself. David and his men were far back in the cave. The men said, "This is the day the Lord spoke of when he said to you, 'I will give your enemy into your hands for you to deal with as you wish.'" Then David crept up unnoticed and cut off a corner of Saul's robe. Afterward, David was conscience-stricken for having cut off a corner of his robe. He said to his men, "The Lord forbid that I do such a thing to my master, the Lord's anointed, or lay my hand on him, for he is the anointed of the Lord." With these words, David sharply rebuked his men and did not allow them to attack Saul. And Saul left the cave and went his way. Then David went out of the cave and called out to Saul, "My lord the king." When Saul looked behind him, David bowed down and prostrated himself with his face to the ground. He said to Saul, "Why do you listen when men say David is bent on harming you? This day you have seen with your own eyes how the Lord delivered you into my hands in the cave. Some urged me to kill you, but I spared you. I said, I will not lay my hand on my Lord, because he is the Lord's anointed." And that is the word of the Lord. Our article today is titled "Hands Off" and is written by Ron Dalton. Ron is a retired pastor and professor of the Church of the Nazarene. Here's what Ron writes. "It's not always easy to know what is right. David and his crew are hiding in a cave from the attacking Saul, and what happens next could not have been foreseen. The king steps into the cave. He is alone and unaware of the danger. This gives David a rare opportunity to finally take the advantage. His men urge him to kill the king. They assure him this is divine providence. They quote some obscure proverb to support their insistent counsel, saying this turn of event is surely God's will for David. David thinks better and refuses to take their spiritual guidance. Instead, he follows his own conscience. Saul, despite his faults, is still God's chosen, his anointed king. It will someday be David's crown, but only in God's own timing, not now and not this way. To do something for a good reason, like cutting a piece of the king's clothes to make a point, was deemed an unacceptable embarrassment and diminishing of this king, and David's conscience soon rebuked him for it. Bending to peer pressure, seeking to end personal troubles, or trying to commandeer God's plan must not cause us to do what we know is wrong. The hymn is titled "He Leadeth Me" by Joseph H. Gilmore. "Whatever I do, wherever I be, still 'tis God's hand that leadeth me." And from the book of Hebrews, chapter 13, verse 16. "Do not forget to do good and to share with others, for with such sacrifices God is pleased." And this is your daily devotion for Monday, January the 30th. Have a blessed day.